Gravel Trap Legends at the Glen, and round 1 of the Americana 2 series begins at Watkins Glen. Heavy rain has affected qualifying, and now we have clearing conditions as the GTL grid are on their formation lap. The LMP2 class out in front and the GT3s tucked in behind. The Americana 2 drivers all compete in GT3 cars, however for one of the 6 rounds they can nominate to drive an LMP2 car for a points boost and an exhilarating ride. Eski leads the field, playing his wildcard along with 3 other drivers, Stu, Baron and Pixel. Rusty is pole sitter for the GT3s, ahead of Jeremy and Chris. Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini starting out in front, RBS completing row 2. Darren is in row 5 and is one of the odds-on favourites, but is about to be in for a very disappointing night. Sheppo and TB9, 2 Porsches in row 7. Row 10, Michael Ney and Gambit. Row 11, Shuey and Imperial. Row 13, Smithy standing in for John Slow tonight, who has broken his thumb jumping off a yacht at a Christmas party. And he's lined up next to Leff, who only just managed a single last-minute qualifying lap. And then Max Powell, the nicest guy in sim racing, bringing up the rear of a very talented grid. 2 drivers who didn't make the grid tonight, Lou and Magic, both vowed to be at round 2. The rain has cleared, but the track is still damp, most drivers choosing to start on slick tyres, the track mostly drying off during the formation lap. The drivers already trying to conserve fuel, but also trying to keep their tyres warm. The race start and Eski, Stu and Baron lead the LMP2s, Rusty, Jeremy and Chris at the head of the GT3s. Eski takes the green and starts the race as he meant to continue, flat out and right foot floored, driving like the race is a 75-minute qualifying session. But there was almost, predictably, trouble. Turn 1, lap 1, a damp track, and there was a touch, and it's Darren spun around. No damage, no safety car, but this put one of the series' top drivers straight to the back of the field. There are 2 types of drivers in this world, those that get spun and get pissed off, and those like Darren that relish the chance to work back up through the grid from the back. However, this was only to be the start of Darren's troubles for the night. LMP2 do not mind the damp track at all. Very high downforce glues them to the tarmac, giving the drivers almost too much confidence. They're not particularly faster than the GT3s in a straight line, but they dominate in braking and cornering, lapping Watkins Glen about 10 seconds quicker than the GT3s. A big crash in the chute, Gambit gets it sideways, collecting Cuckoo, and then Cornsey and Darren are caught up as collateral damage. There are wings and panels all over the track. The safety car is deployed, and the field bunches back up. For drivers running risky fuel strategy, this is a blessing. The 4 damaged cars are able to make it back to the pits for repairs. Gambit and Cuckoo make it back onto track, but it's the end of the race for Cornsey and Darren, a huge disappointment for both drivers. The race restarts and Eski's back onto his all-or-nothing game plan, balls to the wall on now a mostly dry track. Stu in second place is on a very different strategy, safe and steady with a high downforce car. He figured that even coming last of the LMP2s is still better points than wrecking out. He settles into a longer game plan. Rusty is capable of both tactics at the same time, safe and fast. Chris has had a great restart and has the black Lamborghini up to second place ahead of Jeremy's Porsche. Chris's car is a new addition to AMS2 and he's having a blast. All of these cars, LMP2 and GT3s, will need a pit stop for fuel over the next 75 minutes. With the new released 1.6 physics, the drivers are still learning about tyre wear and grip levels, with some drivers planning on a tyre change and others leaving it to see how they'll feel closer to critical fuel level. Something went very wrong for Baron on the restart, and his Orica LMP2 is well off the pace. Pixel gets past him for 3rd overall in the boot, but still Baron cannot get his car up to full speed, and pretty soon Rusty is also on his tail. This is a critical moment for LMP2 drivers. If they get caught up in the GT3 leaders, they soon become swamped and trapped. Chris and Jeremy are also able to work their way past the struggling Orica. Their battle is with Rusty and they cannot give Baron room. They have to stay close to the GT3 leader, and soon Baron is trapped back in the pack. The LMP2 cars cannot rely on making passes on horsepower alone. They're only just a couple of kilometres per hour quicker than the GT3s. They have to draft on the straights and use their brakes and cornering speed to an advantage. Baron gets this exactly right, overtaking Arno under brakes in turn 1. But a couple of laps later, he makes the same pass on Chris and gets it all wrong. From further back, it's a wild dive bomb pass, and Chris spins, losing second place. LMP2 cars do not get blue flag passing, and normal overtaking rules apply, including having to have an overlap in the braking zone. Lap 13, Stu and Pixel have been locked in a battle over second place. Already catching back markers, Pixel gets a good run out through the Glen's toe and passes Stu for second overall. Pixel is an endurance specialist and loves these long battles for position. Stu was just happy to get back to lapping and not crashing his car. At 1/3 race distance, everyone is in their own private battles. Smithy in John Slow's Porsche is fighting to keep Truey's Lamborghini behind him, while the LMP2 cars work their way round, trying not to interrupt a good scrap. After the earlier disaster, a repaired Gambit is now back up to 14th, and Cuckoo has fought all the way back up into 12th position. Lap 29 and disaster for Eski. A full lap up. While passing a back marker on the high side, he slides the car and contacts the wall. Unicorn spins also, and Stu clips the back of the Porsche, sending him around in circles as well. Eski is heavily damaged and limps back to pits, while Stu and Unicorn are able to continue. Pixel's Orica is just coming onto the main straight, as Eski's crew are fitting the new rear wing and beating his wheels back into alignment. Pixel takes the lead of the race just as Eski's crew dive for cover and he launches down pit lane for the exit. From nearly a lap up, Eski is now 4 seconds behind Pixel and has some hard work ahead of him. While the LMP2 field is full of drama, there are no mistakes up the front of the GT3 pack. Rusty and Jeremy cannot be separated and continue to fight lap after lap. While RBS in the blue Audi realises he cannot continue to fight with them and drive economically, he makes a strategic decision to let the boys scrap over the lead while he focuses on making each litre count. Third place is worth too much to throw away with half the race still to run. It is now lap 32, nearly an hour in, and the pit stop season is in full swing, temporarily jumbling up the race order. The GT3s are fairly evenly balanced except when it comes to fuel burn and fuel tank size, with the Porsches having to pit earlier than the other 6 cars in the field, and the McLarens able to stretch it out a little bit further. Most of the drivers have opted for a late pit stop to see how their tyres would last. There is scope for drivers to get tactical with their pit stop strategies as the series progresses, but everyone seems to be playing it safe for round 1. Everyone that is except for Cuckoo in 9th place, who after his lap 1 repair is fuel saving like crazy and trying to make his BMW go the full distance. Jeremy got the drop on Rusty in pit stops, but it's not long before they find each other again on track and their battle for the lead continues. Both drivers have a long history racing together, and this is just a continuation of a long contest between frenemies. The last 20 minutes at Watkins Glen were an extremely close fought battle between 2 very good drivers. It was nose to tail until lap 38 when Rusty found a gap and retook the lead. It was about this time that Eski thought there wasn't enough drama in the race and threw his LMP2 at a wall, requiring another pit stop for substantial repairs. And then the most unlikely of drivers, playing the safest of strategies, Stu took overall lead of the race. Eski's crew had another frantic repair job before Eski could launch another all-out charge on track, now with only a handful of laps left to run. Eski sets a cracking pace, flying out of pit lane and immediately slicing through traffic on a mission to retake the lead, while his pit crew all cross their fingers, hoping his head is full of drama and just keeps the Orica on the circuit for just 5 more laps. By lap 41, Eski is on Stu's tail with only a lap to go. The live commentary team are on the edge of their seats yelling at Stu to drive faster, but Eski has the pace and retakes the lead to earn maximum points and starts the series top of the leaderboard. Stu is more than satisfied with second place. The Checkers comes down on the first finish of the Americana 2 series at Watkins Glen. Eski, Stu and Pixel have all played their wildcards at LMP2 for maximum points. In GT3, first place goes to Rusty, then Jeremy and RBS. Gunnar finishes 4th. Chris takes 5th place. Baron crosses the line, and then Arno is 6th GT3 home in the yellow and blue BMW. Viper crosses 7th for Mercedes. Cuckoo rolls into his pit bay running on just fumes and determination, finishing his race from pit lane. Left is 9th for Mercedes and Imperial is 10th for Audi. disappointment for several drivers, but for the most, the first GTL 1.6 race has been a success, or at least a great learning opportunity before Monday's Round 2 at Laguna Seca, GTL's last race of 2024. Thanks to all drivers, admin, and Mark and Zach 18 on the live commentary team for being part of it.